I definitely think Holiday lives up to the term simplified buying.
I can get a good value and not have to go back and forth.
I was able to really have the most painless purchase of a vehicle I've ever had.
Going somewhere else felt more like, let's just sell her a car.
I don't go to any other dealer. I know I'll be taken care of here.
Discover the difference at Holiday during the Memorial Day sale on now. Holiday Chevrolet, Buick, and GMC, Fond du Lac.
They are worth the trip.
This week for the Leadership Fond du Lac completion ceremony at the Retlaw Hotel. He founded the Leadership Fond du Lac program almost 2 decades ago, and he joins us in the studio, and it's a pleasure having you on the program.
Greg, it's a unique feeling being on this side of the microphone, given my radio experience in the front office. And on my way driving here to the studio this morning, I, if I may, with the wonderful radio audience, share a title I would like to ascribe to you looking back over the years. It just seems to me it's appropriate to identify you and to title you as the Paul Harvey of Fond du Lac.
Thank you very much.
And I'm sincere about that.
I appreciate that.
You have a persona and a tenacity and a enthusiasm that makes you appropriate for that kind of a title.
I appreciate those comments very much. It seems hard to believe, and I was thinking about this as well before this interview, that 1987, when I moved to Fond du Lac and worked at KFIZ, it seems hard to believe that more than 30 years have gone by.
Well, for me, since I came to Fond du Lac, I'm a non-townie. You know, there's only 2 categories of people in Fond du Lac. There are townies and non-townies. And I have achieved 50 years of being a non-townie and have enjoyed, more than enjoyed, prospered, and just been very stimulated and thrilled with the lifestyle here. You also have something in common with me personally, in that your personal residence is on a wonderful street with a wonderful neighborhood. And you and I know what it means to be part of a great neighborhood.
Yeah, absolutely. And raising a family, it's a great community. We're happy to be here.
Something we shouldn't take for granted. We're blessed with this experience. It isn't the same everywhere for everybody.
So you're back in Fond du Lac. What do you think of the community today compared to 30 years ago?
Well, I look at all the pluses and the minuses. Life is a balancing act. The report you just did about Mercury is really a blessing for the community. The economy transition here is typically slow and steady, but is positive as compared to other places where the economy is stalled and towns are dying. So that's very positive. There is, I would observe, a substantive change in the social economic factor of the community. I'm told that 40% of the students in the local schools are from homes that have superior, lower standard of living and lower income.
They come from poverty.
Yeah, and I think in the broadcasting industry and in the community leadership, that needs to be known and understood and taken into account as to the implications of that.
Let me ask you that. Let me follow up on that. If you ask anybody on the street, how many children in the public school district come from a family that lives in poverty, what percentage would you guess? I would think most people would say maybe 5%, 10%. When you tell them the figures, and it's closer to half, it's closer to 50%. That's shocking to me.
I agree with you. In fact, if I were a permanent resident, I would. That would be on my mind and in my heart as to how to address that and respond to that. The people of Wisconsin, the upper Midwest, are very giving, caring people. The question would be what to do, how to respond, how to be responsible in helping to make that number and that trend go in another direction. It's a big question, and it would require some really thoughtful response. But like all things, I think it could be addressed, but I'm not quite sure. I don't have the answers, and I can only make the observation that it's worrisome.
Right. On the plus side, the city's unemployment rate, 2.1%.
Recruiting personnel is for everybody a real challenge. Business people tell me that's their biggest headache, is finding good people, good employees. And my sense is that Aaron, who's here in the studio with us, making the live streaming of this presentation discussion possible, Aaron, as well as some of the young people that I've met, they're inclined to want to go elsewhere for various reasons. So there needs to be a conscious effort to retain young people in the community and in the region. That should be an initiative as well.
So you were at the Leadership Fond du Lac completion ceremony at the Retlaw Hotel. When you see these young leaders graduate from this program that you started, that must make you feel very proud.
Oh, man, what a thrill. I tell the story that 30 years ago, I appeared before most of the city councils of Wisconsin. And in the process of doing that interactivity, I came to the feeling that there had to be a better way for the people who had that responsibility to be trained and to understand their responsibilities. And I conceived the idea of leadership training. I had the advantage of business school training, and I knew that that was distinctly impactful in my life. So other people don't have the opportunity to go away to business school, whether it's in Chicago or Boston or Dallas or other locations. So what could be done locally for people to be trained and exposed to how leaders go about carrying out their responsibility? And I anonymously funded and founded the Leadership Fond du Lac program. I say anonymously because I didn't want to be accused of trying to control or influence the community. And it's just become a great success. My name is associated with the major award for 20 plus years. It's the only activity that I've ever felt that I wanted my name to be a part of. I've always declined to have our name attached to any project, any building, any gifting that we've done. It's a matter of public record that over a period of 30 years, we gave back to the community several $1 million.
Well, the Family Ice Center, the land for the new high school, why didn't you want your name attached to those projects?
I just wanted to be a local citizen. I just wanted to be another person. I just wanted to be a good neighbor, wanted to be a good parent. And when you give your name to things, there's a weight that comes with that. And people who don't recognize that success comes with issues and problems. So I was trying to avoid bringing those kind of problems into my personal and family life. And I believe I succeeded in doing that.
Well, the Fond du Lac community thanks you for those gracious donations. We've got the camera in the studio. You did that at KFIZ many, many, many years ago.
We did, and C-SPAN, which is the national,
Picked up on that.
picked up on it and included it in their format. The leader of C-SPAN was here for the grand opening and introduction of cable television. People weren't quite sure what cable television was about in the late 70s. So Brian Lamb was here, and he participated in a streamed broadcast of the radio interview program. And while doing that, he said, "This is a great idea." So he went back to Washington and introduced the C-SPAN format of live interviews on cable television.
What is the most important characteristic of a leader?
Positive attitude, good listening skills as opposed to speaking. It comes, although, with some reality. A typical leader is disruptive. If you think about it, an effective leader is someone who senses or recognizes both an opportunity and a solution to a problem. But with that recognition comes the reality that this person might find themselves being lonely, isolated, and disrupting the norm. A good leader is someone who just quietly goes about tenaciously and doggedly pursuing a solution to a problem and feels good about it and is confident enough to feel, I can do that.
Has courage.
Takes courage.
Takes courage.
Conviction.
Mm-hmm.
Takes an inner sense of self-confidence and awareness. But it's a great opportunity, and the idea of executing an idea, I make the analogy that entrepreneurship is like farming. The farmers are out planting their seeds right now for the spring, and they're getting ready for the summer and the fall. And entrepreneurship is planting seeds. Ideas are seeds that are permitted to grow. So entrepreneurship and leadership have been part of my entire life, and I feel good about it.
You've always been interested in politics. You've worked with some of the top political figures in our country over the years. You've been influential in national politics, state politics. What is your impression of the political climate today?
I grew up in Springfield, Illinois. Do you know who lived in Springfield, Illinois before I was born?
Well, Abraham Lincoln.
There you go. Thank you.
Greatest president in the United States history.
That's correct. And as a young radio reporter, I used to interview visitors to Springfield: Walt Disney, Red Skelton, President Kennedy, President Johnson, and many, many presidents and premiers from countries all over the world who told the State Department, "I want to go to Springfield, Illinois, and see what this Mr. Lincoln was all about." So that left a permanent impression on me at a very young age, that public service and being in the public sector was expected. In many ways, you might say that public service, political life, is part of my DNA, and it really is. I delivered newspapers to Lincoln's home when it was a county park, and the caretaker of the home lived there. I delivered newspapers to the home of Adlai Stevenson, then the governor of Illinois. As a young radio reporter, I broadcast the funeral of Abraham Lincoln on CBS radio. So when I came to Wisconsin, I just had this natural tendency to realize that to be in the private sector as a businessman was one role in life, but there was an obligation to be in the public sector. My introduction to national public service was through Congressman Petri, who encouraged me to come to Washington and to teach and mentor leaders within the Congress and leaders within the Library of Congress about the new technologies of the time, principally the internet. And that ended up in a 25-year commitment to being in Washington, being involved in public service.
What do you think of President Trump?
I like President Trump. I know President Trump. I know his heart. I know how sincere he is. I know he's a genuine entrepreneur. I like President Trump, and I think he's very good for the country. Much of what's happening right now on a daily basis is very regrettable. There's a dark side to public service and to being in those positions. I've seen the dark side. I was even a victim of it at one time, and you were involved in reporting some of that at the time. I was accused of doing things that I never did. So I know that reality. It's a form of war. It's a form of competition. And thank goodness for President Trump. That's my objective view.
What are you doing today? Are you officially retired?
I reject the word retire. I really don't. I mentor a lot of young people. I mentor a lot of people of my age, and I encourage them not to think in terms of retirement. We're just in a different chapter in our life. So I'm writing a new chapter, and I've become a full-fledged North American. That is to say, I'm a U.S. citizen, a Wisconsin citizen. But Greg and Aaron, I have to inform you and share with you that over the last 10 years, yo es ciudadano mexicano. Joe, meaning I, am a citizen of the country of Mexico, and I'm very proud of that. And I spend half of my time in central Mexico, and I enjoy the weather, the food, the culture, and the quality of life. And so yo soy orgullosísimo mucho mexicano. I'm a very proud Mexican, and that's part of what I do in my life at this time. I also spend a lot of time in the Southwest, Arizona and Nevada, and make my seasonal visit back to Wisconsin in June, July, and August.
And here you are today.
Proud to be here.
We greatly appreciate you stopping by to be on this program.
Greg, let me extend my hand to you. The Paul Harvey of Wisconsin and Fond du Lac.
Thank you very much. Pleasure having you on the show.
Holiday Automotive was a satisfying choice.
I know I'll be taken care of here.
You're going to be treated with professionalism, and the culture is about you, not about them.
The process was easy. The vehicle is great. The service after the sale has been wonderful.
They make you feel like family.
I'm Steve Warninger.
My name is Craig Hansen.
My name is Dana Zerbakken, and I drive Holiday.
Discover the difference at Holiday during the Memorial Day sale on now. Shop Holiday Ford, Fond du Lac.
They are worth the trip.